This is the Super Sports Schools podcast, bringing you stories of our future stars, powered by Spur Steak Ranchers.
1, 2, 3, go!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Super Sports Schools podcast brought to you by Spur. I'm Alex White. This week, Tim and I are at the St. Mary's Festival in Joburg. Last time we were here, we caught up with Taheera Augousti, one of South Africa's top young hockey players. Now, in this episode, a year later, we catch up with her again, ahead of the national women's team's trip to China. She's joined on the show by Mashego, who was her first ever national manager and also plays a pivotal role here at Super Sports Schools. The two are also going to go head-to-head in our new game, Olympic, Was Olympic, and Never Olympic. That's the Super Sports Schools podcast. Enjoy. I think just to start off, if we could go around the table, get some introductions. Taheera is well known on the Super Sports Schools podcast. Our top quiz competitor from last year, who then narrowly lost to Hannes in the ultimate quiz show at the end of the year. Unfortunately, Tim came.
Okay, you didn't have to bring that up. Like,
well
I could see this here as actually wanted to bring it back.
Already.
Okay, we get it. I'm not good at
once,
quizzes.
but
No
twice.
quiz today because there's just too much tension here, but we've got another game that we will play. So Taheera, just quickly, done with school, what are you up to now?
So I'm currently in Cape Town playing for Central Hockey Club in Cape Town. And then I'm also still part of the South African women's hockey team. And this year I'm just focusing on working towards the Olympics.
Pearl, what's your involvement in hockey?
Hi everybody, my name is Mashego and I am the marketing manager for Super Sports Schools, but also I'm the SA under 18 girls manager. So I've been there for a bit and that has been where I've been at national level, but I've been involved in hockey when I used to teach as well. I used to coach provincial sides and all of that, giving back to the game. And as much as you want to step up and move away, the game will always follow you wherever you go.
I definitely think that was the best decision Pearl made because that's where she met me. So I don't think she'll regret any of that.
And we know that you two know each other well. You've just come literally straight off the St. Mary's Astro where you were both commentating a game. Is that a change for you to come to St. Mary's, not as a player, but as a commentator, Taheera?
Yeah, it's obviously not my first choice of something I would do if I must come back to a hockey tournament, but I've been enjoying it so far, and doing it with Miss M has also made it much nicer.
What's the performance been like? You're going to hire her back?
I'm joking.
You shouldn't speak the Afrikaans, so it's not too good there.
Let me not be that person, but I'm very proud. I think it's also beautiful and amazing to see, even though people play, that they continue to give back to the game. You look at your forte and what you can. I mean, commentating, you actually get thrown into the deep end. And I've been the lead commentator and she's been the supporting commentator, which is like the analyst. And she's really had some great insights, which obviously opens up our eyes as well that she could actually coach should the opportunity arise for her. But like I said, what I love about hockey and the people in the setup is we always continue to give back wherever we can.
I think what I want to get out of you two today is that pathway after school and what opportunities there are in hockey after school and what you go about doing for young people at home who are playing hockey at the moment in school, particularly young girls and schoolgirls playing hockey, what it looks like after school and what the challenges are and what the different opportunities are that are out there.
I think a challenge is that not all the provinces have like club hockey for after school. So if you want to stay in that province, you're going to have to play for the varsity, and unfortunately not all varsities are as strong as the others, and they don't get the best coaching at those varsities due to the lack of coaches. So I think the best move would be to go to a province that has a lot of coaches that will take you under their wing and help you grow and develop as a player.
Like you've moved down to the Western Cape.
Yes, I think that's the best decision I've made.
How are you enjoying it down there?
The mountains and the seas.
Much nicer. I have a view every morning, not like in Bloem when I woke up and I just saw houses and streets.
And it's cold. Bloemfontein is cold.
The cold's not that bad.
It's horrible. I was there for a camp.
They were also
it's
there.
horrendous.
They were also there during
were
My
there.
nose
We
was
were-
drying up. My
we were
nose
there
was
last
drying
year
up.
for your IPT for the SASOC Nationals, and I think 8 in the morning was like 2 degrees.
2 degrees and my lips were cracked,
Yeah.
which makes no sense. How did I get both at the same time?
Don't blame the weather for your lips being cracked.
Shots fired.
Don't blame the weather.
No
just
pun intended.
arrived.
Shots fired. She
I
fires
just
shots on the field and off the field. Hey.
When did you first see Taheera play?
I
Taheera.
also want to hear this. Didn't know.
I think the name Taheera Augousti started coming up 2022 in her league time in the Free State. Then she had a marvelous goal when they played Urania. I think it was literally Urania versus Taheera at that moment. But so beautifully controlled, and I think you were coming exactly from a right-hand side, and then she scored a clean goal. It was a shocker for everyone, and they had some great defenders. They had an excellent team. But I think that's when she came through in the setup. But at the end of the day, it's not about only one player, but she just stood out at that moment. And I think kudos to Eunice in that regard, because they also supported her to be able to stand out. Taheera then continuously went to the provincial setup, which was in IPT. Back then, it was hosted by Boerland in Stellenbosch. We saw her come in and out there, but I think she was in a team that had amazing players. But what was perfect about that is like all the great players were in different lines. So strikers, mids, defenders. So you weren't just hoo-hawing the strikers. It was all the different lines. So great defender back then. Also Germary. She's got that amazing height, ridiculous reach. Once she gets that, lays it off beautifully. There was a great player there as well, Ane, who also came from Urania. Very, very good at distribution, vision amazing. And I think where they actually leaned on quite well against each other was she always knew where Taheera was going to be, if that makes sense. And Taheera would just finish that off and roof it. I think there was a game where the post actually went like this. But then Taheera got selected for the side. Obviously, we go camping. Our series back then was against Namibia, which was a good setup for us as well. And it's great to see them in a tournament like this as well, Vintukai School. And Taheera continued to grow there, but now you've got the best ones all together. And it's the first time we've had it in 2 years, owing to COVID. And she really delivered. Her and I actually made a little pact. It was the second game or third
The last game.
The last game of
Of
the
our
series.
series against Namibia. I was playing forward in that game, and I hadn't scored the whole series. And after IPT, I was announced as top goal scorer. So it was really sad for me to not score in a series. But at the IPT, I was top goal scorer. So then there was 5 minutes left of the game, and I came off, and I was like, I'm not going to score in this game. I'm not going back on, so I'm not going to get my goal that I promised to Miss M. And she was like, no, you are going to go back on and you are going to score. And she said, once I score, I have to run to the side of the field and give her a high five. And I just remember the moment when I got the ball and I took my shot and I scored. The only thing that came to mind was run to the side of the field to high five Miss M. I didn't even think, okay, I just scored. The first thing was run to Miss M.
Is that because of a bit of terror or?
When I went back on with 2 minutes to go, all I was hearing in my head is you're going to score, you're going to score. I just heard Miss M's voice, so when I scored, I went to her and I dedicated that goal to both of us.
Aww.
And that just
power
broke
of
my
Miss M.
heart. Oh yeah, I try. I just think what people need to also understand is a manager is not just there to do admin, and other managers also need to understand that. And managers play such a pivotal role, especially in girls' sports. Girls are much more emotional, but we're not saying you should be a Dr. Phil and a psychologist for them, but you should just have them be able to lean on you, because some coaches aren't approachable, but some coaches are also join the line, I'm just there to coach. Some coaches are fantastic, would open that up, but manager is basically your mommy away from mommy. But also it's so important when they come off the field. So your job is not just off the field when they get injured, is when they come off and they're rotating or substituting or they've been injured, just to check into that brain, how's the mind doing, how's the soul doing, and that goes a long way. I remember she didn't have to come to me, but she's like, I'm not going to score, and I could see she's disappointed in herself, and I was like, but you need to believe in yourself, you need to score. And just to make it a bit more fun, not too serious, that's why I said, need to high-five me. I worked hard. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I've got all these small little things that I do with some of them. I say, give me a 2 rand, I'll keep it in my pocket for the whole week. And when you score, then I take it out to my lucky 2 rand. Like those type of things. So yeah, that's the power of Miss M, apparently. But now she's still in my life. Can't get rid of her. But
As much as she sounds so nice, she does have a moment where a teacher comes out of her and
it's in my
she,
genes.
she tries to threaten us as a team. Every night she told us,
Don't give away my tactics.
No, I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
I'm a very, very dangerous manager.
forget that. Our first camp was in Franschhoek, was it?
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just off front shoot, yeah.
And we stayed in like chalets, but it was like 4-4 in a room. And I remember our first meeting, she told us we had like a certain time to be off our phones. And she would check if we were on our phones after
they
that
must
time.
sleep, they must rest. They're national
And-
players.
I didn't think that was true. Like she was actually going to check. And the next morning when we had team talk, she was like, she pulled out her phone and she's like, okay, so this person was on their phone exactly 5 minutes past the curfew. And then, then we realized that she's actually being serious about this. And then last year, I knew that she did that, but she didn't tell the team. So we had a private players group, and I saw she sent a message past the time, and I just sent a message on the private group, don't open the message, she's trying to catch us out, because she sent like an hour later good night to us. So I was like to them, don't open the message, she's just trying to catch us out. And then a few of them replied saying they already opened it. And then the next morning she again said, so you were on your phone 2 minutes past 10, that's on 5 minutes past 10.
Wow.
It will never get old.
That's taking it to another level.
I have to make sure they're safe
That's
and
entrapment.
they're sleeping.
That's
and they're getting all the hours in. But I've got another one. Now that they all know that one, there's another one that I also have. But
I think you
we
have to keep that one in the-
We cannot give that away.
Next year.
Yeah, because anybody that's listened to this episode will know,
I know.
what
Some
you
of
had
these
planned.
players that are here are going to be in that team. So they can't know my tactics now. But don't worry, I got you. Like literally, I got you.
So I have to ask, as somebody so crucial in the setup, what are you guys truly looking for when you're looking at players to, bring into the SA team? Especially, I know there are probably people watching that are like, oh, I want to make that next step. I want to be that player, but I don't know where to take my game. I don't know what I need from it.
I think this is actually a very important question, especially in the South African setup. Our setup does not look like the European setup. It doesn't look like the Indian setup or whoever abroad or the Netherlands that we've put on a pedestal. And I'm speaking for the coaches now. I'm sure some of them were like, ooh, what's the manager got to say? But I think what we look for in South Africa, we are a country with diversity and pizzazz, as we know. And those are the type of players we're looking for, but players that we can also teach, players that are willing to learn, but players that are also, in their own time, are willing to put in the hard work. Yes, hockey is a team sport. You need to understand that. You can do as many privates as possible, but at the end of the day, you are just training 1-on-1. You are not training 11 versus 1. You can improve your craft as a striker. You can improve your craft as a midfielder. You can improve your craft as a defender. But what we keep saying is you need to understand the game as a whole. And the unfortunate thing about the generation of today, they're not watching the game. When they do watch in super sports schools, they're watching themselves. And we want them to watch hockey. We want them to watch international hockey, how they're moving. Like, why was this striker here? And then the next time I look, she was actually there. How does that make sense? It's because they're just moving the play. Instead of you being married to a player, you have to be aware where the position is, if that makes sense. So I think overall, those are the type of players that we are looking at. Because if you look at Argentina, like, they're true to their nature. Like, they've got pizzazz, they're loud and whatever, and that's how they play. And then if you look at the Netherlands, even the country as a whole, they're structured. Do you know what I mean? And that's how they're going to play as well. They also have the pizzazz, they have their fun, but you can see the structure that goes across. And I think as South Africa, we're also just going back to a drawing board, and with their coach, Giles, also making sure for preparations. I mean, they could have prepared here in South Africa and played a few clubs or whoever, but that's not enough. He knows what they're going to face there. Hence why they've got India that they're going to go to, as well as China. So face people that are higher than you in the rankings, and that's how you're going to know where your strength lies. You can't be partying with people here at the bottom and assuming to deliver at the top. And we've seen their pool is out. It's not going to be easy, guys, but I think this team is they're willing to rise to the challenge. And that's what's exciting for SA Hockey. And we've seen the men, they rose up to the challenge at Nations Cup. And if they can do it, all our teams can do it.
I'm going to be excited to see the pathway that hockey takes in the next couple of years, because there's this definite surge that we can feel from all involved to get it to that next level, which is very cool. And hopefully, Taheera, you're going to be involved for many, many, many years to come. And Pearl as well.
Oh, no, I'm getting old. I'm getting old. I need to hand over. Maybe you can be the manager after me.
No, for under 18.
Yes.
Obviously, this is an Olympic year, and Pearl, you will have been involved with some of the players who will eventually go to the Olympics in the squad. So we thought what we'd do is put, I guess, super sports schools versus super sports schools, since you're both now commentators. So Taheera's involved as well in a game that we're calling Olympic. Was Olympic, never Olympic. Tim's had a go at it. He lost out to Rosal.
Yes, because the questions...
Because you always lose. No, because otherwise...
Yeah.
I'll keep quiet. I'll keep quiet. It's fine, actually. I'll
Taheera's
just
just
keep
going
quiet.
after you.
You're each going to get 5 sports. So I'm going to tell you a sport, and you just have to decide if it's an Olympic sport, if it was an Olympic sport, or if it was never an Olympic sport.
Okay.
So Olympic, was Olympic, never Olympic.
Don't know all the
Guys are
sports.
making me
So
a bit
I'll
nervous.
give you an
Olympics.
example. Tim did this one earlier. Painting.
It was an Olympic sport.
It was an Olympic sport. Yes.
Yeah, basically the
Fast.
French loved everything, and anything could be an expression of art, of brilliance, of
Paris
dominance.
1900
Did you
had
research this?
so much. Of course we
Yeah,
researched
of course.
No, I'm saying you, Tim, after you got it wrong.
And now it's
No,
going
I
back to
got
Paris.
that question right. That wasn't even my question.
Oh.
Oh, that's quite cool. And now it's going back to Paris. Oh, that's quite cool. Did you know that Die Hoërskool Belu Park was founded by a painter?
I did not know that. Is that something from your prep for this match you
Listen,
just
as a
commentated?
commentator,
She had all the
it's so
research.
important to
To
prep.
know.
So
To
I
know.
did the research. She just sat next to me and smiled.
Okay. Olympic, was Olympic, never Olympic. Who would like to go first?
I'd go first because just age before
Okay.
beauty, they say.
All right, no discussion there then. Here's your first question. Basically, just to tell me, was it Olympic? Is it Olympic? Or was it never Olympic? Poodle clipping.
What is that even?
It
like-
was Olympic.
That's correct.
Wait, so no, because
No,
explain this to me.
no.
Are you telling me that in a stadium full of people, they were there cutting dogs' hair
Can I
and
tell you?
saying,
Can I
Oh,
tell you?
poodle
Because these stats
clipping.
it's also Paris 1900. They
Oh,
have
of
all sorts of
course.
stuff. Poodle clipping. So clipping the dogs, yes. 128 people competed. There were 6,000 in the crowd, and the winner clipped 17 poodles in whatever their time limit
That
was.
is insane. Quite cool.
Yeah. But there we go. That's one. You got that right. So 1 to Pearl. Ready for yours?
Oh, I thought she goes like...
No.
no,
We're
yes, I'm
bouncing,
ready.
we're bouncing here. Handball.
Is an Olympic sport.
That's also correct. France is the most successful with 3 golds in handball, 1 all. They're doing better than you.
hey, whoa, you're not
very
allowed to do that
difficult.
also.
Cricket, Pearl.
Don't look at me. I'm not going to give you the answer.
Can I answer if she gets it wrong?
I
No,
don't trust you anyway.
If she gets it wrong, can I
No, I
answer?
know the answer.
Is
I don't know
Olympic
why.
sport was an Olympic sport
Yeah.
and
Is, was, or never.
was never. Cricket.
Can I please answer this?
But I don't play Olympics at cricket now. No,
I please
Olympics
answer?
was.
Did you say was?
We're going to push for an answer.
Okay, she
You
said-
guys are making me nervous, so I'm wrong.
I have no idea. What did you say? Did you say?
I said
She said
Olympic
was, so she
it
gave an
was.
answer.
was.
Oh, okay, yeah, correct. It was. Sorry, I didn't know you'd
But they're
answered.
going back in
No, I got,
2028.
I
Yep,
got a
that's
bit
also correct.
confused
She
with
took
the
it, I get
all
a bonus
African
point for
game.
that.
No. It's coming back in
In 2028,
2028.
so I
it
can
was
get
last
that
played
point.
in 1900 in Paris again. There were 2 teams only. Great Britain versus France. France was made up almost entirely of expatriates from Britain.
Oh, so it was Great Britain.
Oh,
versus
yeah,
Great
yeah.
And Great Britain won. It was almost a
well,
draw, though.
Well,
Which one?
Yeah, which one?
The Great Britain.
The original, the
okay,
OG.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the
It makes
leaders.
sense.
Not the-
I'm
not
glad
the
I
French
actually
team.
got that one. I would have probably lost my
okay,
job.
2-1.
but Yeah.
Taheera. Netball.
No, I actually don't know this one. Netball. Tell me that you get this one right.
I have
No,
different
it's different-
questions.
different
I was
questions.
gonna say, then I should definitely get it. if you
Is,
got-
was, never.
Netball. I'm gonna say is.
It's not.
Was never, right?
Never.
Yeah,
Never
yeah.
been. So 2-1. Pearl's
I
leading.
actually feel so sorry for them, actually. It's not fair.
Pearl, tug of war.
This is another easy
Oh,
one.
tug of war.
A
Yeah.
sport that
What
Super
is
Sports
that,
Schools has
Mas-
streamed.
Oh, tug of war.
What is that?
Yeah.
Mashem?
Tug of war. Was never. Tug of war. No, it was.
Correct. It was Olympic, 1900 to 1920.
Mashem, you
That's
can't
what
be
we used to
beating me
call
this.
Buddha sport. Yes, don't argue with me. I'm old.
Yeah, you can. I'll use it as an excuse for losing.
Ah,
Okay,
no
okay,
ways.
okay. So 3-1. Taheera, 15's rugby.
You see, I hate these rugby questions. You guys are always giving me the rugby ones.
We're a rugby nation.
I'm gonna say was.
Yeah, correct. 100%. It was Olympic. That's
I'm not clapping
3-2.
for you. I'm competing against you.
We obviously have sevens now, which was introduced, I think, for the first time in 2016. But we used to have 15s rugby. Last time it was played in 1924, and it was in Paris, so it's 100 years ago. And
Why's
it was
everything
won
in
by the
Paris?
USA, who were the most
USA?
successful, who won 2 golds. Yeah. Next up, for Pearl, it's 3-2. The 10-meter air pistol.
10-meter air pistol.
Do you want to explain what that is? So that
You shoot a
No,
target from
don't-
10 meters
Okay.
with an air pistol.
With an air pistol. So nothing's coming out of it.
No, it's an air
And
gun.
it's a air.
yes.
It shoots a little pellet.
I thought we were just shooting air. New meaning to
Whose air
I'm
goes
going
in?
to
Come and say
say
you have a time
never.
limit here.
Even though the English, I trust them
you're
with
saying,
something
you're saying
never.
never?
I think it is.
Olympic. Yeah, it is Olympic. Since 1998, the
So I
Soviet
get
Union
that
is the
point.
most successful with
3-3.
29 gold and 49 total medals.
3-3, I get that point.
That is-
No, 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 no.
2-3.
No, that
2-3.
is actually so cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe we should
it's very
take
cool.
part in that.
To hear it, American football.
Don't look at me. Girl.
I'm trying to think. American football. I'm gonna say is.
Never.
Never.
Never. It stays 3-2. Pearl, surf life saving
So what is surf life saving?
Is.
was. It's 3-2. Pearl is done.
Was that another Paris special?
So I can draw this. If I get
It
this one.
was
think it
in
was
Paris in 1900. Yeah.
That's a Paris special.
Everything Paris does.
Paris
like they're just
1900, they-
leading. And
yeah.
now they are back. And you know, with this year, they also have a gender parity. Once again, Paris is doing something just to up everyone. Paris.
Trendsetters.
1900, they had so many wild things. Okay, to tie it and to go to the bonus question,
Sam, should I just give it to
Taheera?
you or should I?
you need to tell me, was this sport Olympic? Is it Olympic? Or has it never been Olympic? Lacrosse.
Is.
Never. So Pearl
Just gave it
takes
to Miss M so she
3-2.
could
I
win
would
it.
just like to thank my parents for all the education.
I would like to thank. No, I may not know these things.
And when you were getting cocky earlier, yeah, I also got 2. So we got the same score. How do you feel about that?
How Tim just started getting more
I
quiet.
had more difficult ones than you.
Wait, you'll see in the episodes when they come out, it's about the same level.
No.
It was a lot of fun finding because there've been some crazy sports at the Olympics.
Bringing you the sport you care about the most, this is the Super Sports Schools Podcast.
Come on, wake up now. Who got zombie? Wake up now. Sequilatos cut. Wake up now. Who got my sign? Get up and go.
With 15 delicious breakfasts, Spur is the place to be until 11 every morning. Enjoy an unreal breakfast for just $56.90. Spur, people with a taste for life.
Wake up now. Come on. Yeah.
Bringing you the sport you care about the most, this is the Super Sports Schools Podcast.
Talking about the Olympics, and obviously we don't know the squads yet, but Pearl, you've been involved at the under-18 level as that manager, and you're there sort of as, I think, that stepping stone to the national team. A lot of the girls will go from there to play in the national team. What's it like seeing players who one day make it to the biggest stage in the world?
Oh, players like to hear it.
All thanks to Miss M.
Like, no, one thing I can say, it's awesome. But also not just for us, it gives even the players that are playing now a hope that I don't need to finish school, go to varsity, and hope to be seen. The reality is there. I just need to graft. And for South African hockey, it is so important that we start filtering them in now, and the school system to be confident that they will look after them, even academically. We can work together. Do you know what I mean? Like, they went to all these tournament, Nations Cup or whatever, they were in matric and whatnot. Come matric, like, oh, I don't know, this child's going to pass. But if those synergies can like work together, it is beautiful. So it always warms my heart, and they know every time there's like a squad being announced, I always like post who's been there, because we're supposed to celebrate each other. But just because under 18 camp is done doesn't mean that the rest, your dream is done. Like, keep the dream alive, and that's going to be you. And for us, it's not just under 18, it's under 21s as well. Junior World Cup that happened last year, and it's the senior setup. And even those that want to go international, just because you go play in America doesn't mean you can't come back and represent your country. Like Hannah Pierce, Charlene Boshoff as well. And that's what the reality needs to be there, and we need to be open about the setup so that these individuals walking around here understand how it works. So, yeah.
And it's amazing to see, I can imagine it's amazing to see these people going through and giving back to hockey. And one aspect of giving back to hockey that I would want to touch on is, I mean, it's unfortunate, there are only so many spots. But you're a living testament of the fact that there's life in hockey outside of hockey. And there are pathways forward, even if your hockey dream doesn't reach its fullest extent.
Outside of play.
Yeah. So what would you advise to players like that, you know, maybe it's not going too well, but maybe they also want a life outside of hockey?
So one, what really helps, like I said, is, or Taheera said earlier, is a club setup. There's just multiple ways that you can get involved, but they're also not going to go out and find you. You also just need to raise your hand. At the end of the day, we are serving a game that's so much bigger than us, and it will always be bigger than us. I mean, a legend like Piti could see us walking around here, but she's walking around like just a normal person. But if it wasn't for players like that, South Africa wouldn't even have been on the map. And once again, she continues to give back to the same sport. She didn't have to be here. Yes, she's in America, and so what? But then provincially as well. Wherever you are, some people unfortunately don't have the opportunity to go and study. But even if you are studying, we had coaches that would say to us, no, go coach in a primary school, give back. It might not be coaching that's going to keep your love around or there alive. It might be managing. It might be umpiring. It might be actually running a tournament. Do you know what I mean? Like, I ran a tournament. I actually liked it. And I was like, why do I like it? Do you know what I mean?
Something new. But
Yes, but sometimes you just sit back and you watch the magic come together and you're like, wow, I love the fact that everyone's enjoying this. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are playing such a huge role for the bigger purpose. And one thing you must know is the game will always be bigger than you. So we have to continue serving it to ensure that it stays alive in this country. And yeah, so that's my 2 cents to them. But one thing I will say is you can't complain if you're not putting your hand up. So you have to put your hand up. So yeah.
And as someone who's been there and done that and has definitely put their hand up,
I think you also stand out and you can see who puts in the extra hours and all the hard work, because some people complain that they don't make the teams, but then it's all up to them that they don't make it because they're not willing to put in the extra hours, and then they want to say, but this coach didn't select them and they played well. But at the end of the day, it is all about who puts in the extra hours and works harder than everyone else, like who's always first at practice and the last to leave. So I think it's all up to yourself, and it's at the end of the day your own choice.
making me feel like I would not survive being in sport other than this, if I was actually competing. What I was going to ask both of you to share is just where you see South African hockey going in the next year and a bit, what you'd like to see come out of it, any personal goals, things you're excited for. Hype us up for the year that's coming.
Go Taheera, you are
Start,
still playing.
You.
I think what I would like to see South African hockey as a whole is more club setups for players that don't necessarily have anything after school, don't have opportunity to go to varsity. I would like to see also for the players that maybe might be slightly older in matric and can't play provincially after that. They can play with their school team but can't play provincially. I'd love to see that. I would love to see more clinics, and in the clinics, very important people getting involved, the very people that stand or are high in the system, technical directors, coaches getting involved. Yes, COVID played a pivotal role in pushing a lot of things back, but we are back better, stronger. I would love to see more regions intertwining with each other when it comes to tournaments. Stop doing the traditional movements. I always go to this tournament, I always go to this tournament. Like, challenge yourself. Don't just go for the sake because you know you're going to win. Like, how are you challenging your team? Does that make sense? I would love to see how coaches are also inspiring and pulling up players that have knowledge but are younger to sit with them and maybe be their assistant, if that makes sense. Because that's how we're going to build coaches. I'd love to see older coaches mentoring even more. I mean, I don't think I'd be where I am if I didn't have the mentors that I had. And there's one pivotal woman that played a role in my career, and 2 actually male that played. Obviously, we're pushing women in sport, but males that saw something and they kept pushing me and putting me in spaces that scared me. Do you know what I mean? But in the words of the former Miss Universe, Zozibini Tunzi, she said, take up space. And I ensured that I take up that space. And I hope I could pave a way in my process as well as mentoring someone to take up that space. It's going to be scary, but one thing we must do is take up space. And South African hockey to play more challenging tournaments, to go abroad, to face the giants that are out there. It's fun. Lose. Take that emotion in. Deal with it. And then move on. Do you know what I mean? Don't just say we don't want to play them because, they're ranked number 1 in the world. They weren't ranked number 1 when they were born. Somewhere down the line, they also had to work to it. And I think, like I'm saying, Giles is going in the right direction. Whoever takes over, under 21s as well, under 18s, I'd love for them to face harder competition. And that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I would love to see a connection between the under 18s, under 21s and the women's team, because a lot of them go from under 18 to under 21 and from under 21 to the women's team. So if there's a connection between those coaches, it will really help so that the younger teams can focus on what the senior team is looking for, and it will be much easier for them to develop and grow and get into the team much easier. And I also think we need more coaches who have a passion for the sport and who are willing to take the younger players under their wing from a young age already and let them grow throughout their high school career, so that by the time they get to a selection for under 18 or under 21 or even the women's team, that they're already up for challenges and they've already grown immensely.
Wise words from 2 who I don't think we can get much wiser and experienced and relevant at the moment. So thanks both of you for coming on the show and for being a part of this weekend at the St. Mary's Festival, commentating and keeping everybody informed. So I think we're going to let you guys go and say thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys so much.
Pearl and Taheera showcase the very best attributes of South African hockey. I'm so excited to see how Taheera does in the women's team this year, and if she makes the Olympics. We're going to be following all the action of the Olympics on SuperSport, and SuperSport Schools is going to continue to bring you the best content from some of our top young Olympians. There's a whole lot of them already, so check us out on the SuperSport Schools app and website for those episodes. I'm Alex White. I'll see you next week, but for now, bye-bye.
This has been the SuperSport Schools podcast, bringing you stories of our future stars, powered by Spur Steak Ranchers.